Hey guys, welcome to today's stream. And uh, I took a week-long break for Diwali, and happy Diwali, everyone! Happy New Year! Um, and last time we did a JavaScript module, so we completed the JavaScript guide section. So it was a good time to have a break and take some time. Also, I had a lot of work in my job, so that's also was a case. So today we start with the intermediate section, and the intermediate section um, is kind of interesting. It's short, but I think probably yeah the articles are they don't okay. So yeah, so articles are short, but they have uh, like a lot of subsections. I think this must be the case for other articles also. Yep. So, but we'll go through it. We'll see how stuff works, and we'll understand how this works. So we'll start with the client-side JavaScript framework, and I think a single page they will talk about single page applications like React, and then Vue, and most probably like probably frameworks. So for frameworks, they might also talk about Angular because, but I think they'll also add React because though React is so React is a library, but I think I might also skip this React stuff if this links to the React docs. Okay, let's see what we'll do because I am planning to continue this with a React series where I read docs of React because I want to learn React in depth and properly the what from everything from the yeah. So they also talk about Svelte, so um, Angular. Okay, so it's a long list of like they talk about Svelte, React, Vue, and Angular, and I think most probably I'll skip most of these because um, it's not necessary for of a part of JavaScript. It's stuff built on top of JavaScript, and we'll continue with understanding the core of JavaScript, and we'll come back to different um, documentations or the official documentation for React, the official documentation for Vue as well, or anything that we want. So that's how I'll plan. I'll plan it. I just saw this right now. The stream is totally impromptu, so that's how it works. Um, JavaScript frameworks are essential part of modern front-end development. Yeah. I'm a spanning front-end developer. Okay. So different framework from new one appears all the time. So yes, so JavaScript like every 1 or 2 months we see a new framework, right? And right now it's like the situation's too bad, and it's as bad as it is good. So it's exciting because we see a lot of new innovation. We see that how what Quick is doing. So and it's totally almost compatible with React, and it's almost the same code. And then there's also Next.js is a framework on top of React, and it had its NextConf, and in the version 13, they have very interesting features. So these all things are very interesting is happening in the JavaScript world, but then it's also daunting to keep track of everything and then uh, follow everything and um, uh, like uh, a lot of time it's difficult. It's actually difficult because we as developers are uh, like uh, we have two jobs. Is one is for ourselves and one is for the company that we work for. And for ourselves we have to always keep upskilling ourselves, always being learning what's new and how we would implement such things and what's happening. So that's and then we have also the work for a company where though the upskilling work always favors us, like helps us for our company work, but yeah, obviously the companies most of the companies try to use technologies that are already well established and have wider the support, because obviously no one wants to build like take a huge amount of risk while choosing these platforms. So but yeah, so this is what's this is the situation. So uh, and there are a lot of frameworks. We are not aiming for not aiming you or some other framework, the framework. uh, do, Instead, we want to back up the first answer more fundamental questions such as why should I use a framework? What problems do they solve? Exactly. What questions should I ask when trying to choose a framework? Do I even need to use a framework? Exactly. What features do framework have? How do they work in general? How do framework implementations of these features differ? How do they relate to AngularJS or HTML? Yeah, exactly. So that's what my goal is also, that I want to learn JavaScript through this document. I don't want to focus a lot on the frameworks and learning the frameworks. If they go much deeper into that domain, I will definitely skip that, and I'll make a new series out of it. So it's also content, like better content from my side. After that, we'll provide some tutorial covering the essential of. So mostly I'll skip this part to provide you with enough context. If you want to go forward and learn the framework in a pragmatic way and doesn't forget about the word practice. So yeah, we know the prerequisite, your goal will be richer, and exactly that's what our goal is, to write richer code, to write more readable code, write more professional code, write code that's more maintainable. And I've seen a lot of problem where I've myself had this problem where when I was like developing, I have a lot of freelance experience in my name, so I was developing a lot of stuff for different companies. But then I when I started interviewing, I think the problem that I faced was that I knew it all. I can make stuff. I was and everything was working correctly, but the complaint was that my code, they didn't find my code that a lot maintainable. I obviously, after getting that feedback, I did research on that topic, and I did get my code better. But yeah, so the main feedback was that I should read the documentation properly, because already the earlier I had learned through Udemy tutorials or videos, YouTube videos. So uh, reading the document is the way to get proper learning about JavaScript. And that's why I'm this whole series is actually for me. So like it's just incidental that I'm screaming it. So uh, let's see. Introduction to client-side framework. We'll do this. Framework main features. We will do this. Hmm. So where is this actually? Uh, the documentation is not very, let's say, sequential. So the problem, like the problem gets in the is in that it's not very addressable, where I can understand, okay, this after this I should learn this, after this I should learn this. I understand why it's so, because JavaScript is very vast, and it requires uh, a lot of things that are in a parallel, let's say, priority. So I understand why it is so, but yeah, I would prefer that if I find I had a more sequential documentation where everything was like this, like stage one, stage two, stage three, and probably some kind of that. Uh, but this is also okay. We began a look at frameworks with general overview of area, looking at the brief history of JavaScript and framework. So yeah, brief history. JavaScript 1996 with added interactivity and excitement to the web that it was. Up until then, composed of static documents, web became not just a place to read things but to do things. JavaScript popularity steadily increased. Developers who worked with JavaScript wrote tools to solve the problem they face and packaged them into reusable package called libraries so they could share solutions with others. This shared ecosystem system of libraries helped shape the growth of web. So they made a lot of types of applications using this. The advent of modern JavaScript framework has made it easier to build. A framework is a library that offers opinions on how software gets built. Yeah, so the main difference between a library and opinion, like a framework, is that library provides you just the basics to basically build an app, and in and on other hand, framework has opinions about routing. Framework has opinion about styling, how strings would be structured, and like if you like if you are not using create React app, you will notice that you'll mostly use Vite. Like for now, you'll use Vite, or in a traditional sense, you'll use Webpack. And with Webpack, you will like make a package on JSON and add in the two dependency of React and React DOM, and then you will have to configure Webpack for modern JavaScript, but yeah, using Babel and if you want to use CSS and then which type of CSS, all that. But yeah, so that's how React is just that library part of thing. But when you see Next.js, so Next.js has a definite structure that you have to follow. Like earlier it was pages for Next 12, and now I think I'm not very sure, but what I think it's the app folder. No, and from what I understand, I don't know if pages still work or not. So um, and then like next year's routing is very open ended. They have chosen a routing system. They have made a routing system. Now with React you can add in any routing system, like you can use React router DOM, or you can use any one. They have chosen a styling system. So they have chosen to do server side rendering by default. So that's what the difference between a framework and a library is library has almost no opinions, and like in a much deeper sense, and a framework has a lot of opinions and a lot of pre chosen and utilities and pre-chosen libraries added, and pre-chosen functionalities added that help you to build a proper app, but then you don't have the control to actually choose them. JavaScript frameworks power much of impressive software on modern web, including many of the websites you likely use every day. Modern web documents which are currently reading on this on. Yeah, so this is a JavaScript single page app, and if I disable JavaScript on this page wouldn't work. What frameworks are out there? Okay, so this interesting. So Ember was initially, uh, but currently the big four are. I haven't heard Ember anytime. So I don't think Ember is big four. I'll probably say Svelte is the loved kid on the block, and I think they go on deeper on Svelte. Uh, let's check now. So Ember versus, yeah. Popularity. Oh, so I don't think find. Yeah, exactly. So Ember never ever took off. Uh, this is actually Angular. This is Vue. Uh, I don't think they even mention Ember. I don't. This is Vue. This is React, Angular. Oh, huh? Oh, okay. So that it's actually the size, and Ember is very heavy. So why would anyone one even use it? Yeah. So nowhere here to be found. They just it might be popular sometime, or it might be the only option sometime, but currently it's not. As continuation of work started and Sprout Code. Sprout Code is an open source JavaScript web framework. Its core is an older framework that has less users and more modern alternatives such as React and Vue, but it still enjoys a fair amount of popularity. This is stability, common support, and some clever coding principles. Probably. I don't agree. I haven't heard of it because I haven't heard of it. Probably it might be an underdog, and I don't see it being an underdog though. In open source is an open. Oh, wasn't Angular made by Google? Yeah, but it could be open source. They were led by Angular team at Google and by a community of individuals and corporations. It is a complete rewrite of the same from the same team that built AngularJS. Angular was officially released. So, what's the difference between AngularJS and Angular? AngularJS. Okay, so I guess AngularJS is a more primitive version. Probably it doesn't matter. Angular is a component-based framework which uses declarative HTML template at build time transparently to developers. The framework compiles the translates to templates for optimized JavaScript instruction. Angular uses TypeScript, a superset of JavaScript. Okay, okay, yeah. You, after working on and learning from original Angular JS project, even you will even oh, even you released Vue in 2014. Vue is youngest of Big Four, but has enjoyed a recent uptick in popularity. Didn't say this say that Angular was officially released in 2016 and uh, like okay, I understand Angular JS, but yeah. You like AngularJS extends HTML with some of its own code. Apart from that, it mainly relies on modern standard JavaScript. Yeah, Facebook released React in 2013. By this point, it had already been using React to solve many of its problem internally. Technically, React itself is not a framework; it's a library for rendering UI components. uh, React is used in a combination with other libraries to make applications. React and React Native enabled developers to make mobile applications. React and React DOM enables to make web applications, etc. Because React and React DOM are so often used together, React is colloquially understood as a JavaScript framework. As you read through this model, we will be working with the colloquial understanding. React extends JavaScript with HTML-like syntax known as JSX. Why do frameworks exist? Um, okay, we have discussed the environment that inspired the creation of frameworks, but not really why developers felt the need to make them. Exactly. Exploring the why requires first examining the challenges of software development. Consider a common kind of application, a to-do list creator, which we will look at implementing using a variety of frameworks in future chapter. This application should uh, allow users to do things like render a list of tasks, add a new task, and delete a task. And it must do this while reliably tracking and updating the data underlying the application. In software development, this underlying data is known as state. Each of our goal is theoretically simple in isolation. We can iterate over data to render it. We can add an object to make a new task. We can use an identifier to find it, edit or delete tasks. When we remember that our application has to let the user do all of these things through the process, some cracks start to show. The real problem is every time we change our application state, we need to update the UI to match. We can examine the difficulty of the problem by looking at just one feature, a to-do list app, rendering a list of tasks. Exactly. So, I'm in my second year, I guess, I was building this timetable matcher. So it had a ML model from the backend team, and uh, I was just using it, and we were calculating if in a group of 20, when is everyone free, and like which of the spots are most free. So like if 90% are free at a point, or like we were finding like the basically free slots of the students of a group, and for two people for like all that. So and we decided to use vanilla JavaScript because we didn't know React, and it was just a pain. It was so difficult. We had to use we were making objects, and then uh, which we talked in the section in the previous section, and it was just building that project never actually got completed. Obviously the main functionality was working, but the login was breaking. Sometimes it was calculating like rendering it like properly, and sometimes it was not. So it was very difficult to make. So I obviously understand how easy it got when I started using React, and at that point I understood that okay, in web development is not that hard as um, like working with vanilla JavaScript is. So I do understand why um, frameworks are needed. Building HTML elements and rendering them in browser at an appropriate time takes a surprising amount of code. Let's say that our state is in an array object structured like that. Exactly. On and plus then uh, we have like what we worked after every update, we were actually reloading the page because we were very like beginners at that point. So basically I was doing the front end, so I was very at a very beginner stage at that point, and I was it was just the dumbest solution ever, and but it was the easiest solution to implement, and all the older apps also did that. So it was not a bad like a very a solution that was not being used because it was just a basic solution. So but yeah, it was fun making that. Yeah. I tried to uh, get it done by some juniors also next year, but yeah, it didn't fly. So, uh, building HTML elements and rendering them in the browser at an appropriate time takes a surprising amount of code. So, this was a part of a club project. So, uh, let's say that a state is in an array of objects structured like this state. How do we show one of those tasks in a user? We want to represent each task as list item. No, no, list item. This is good. Person type. No, I think it, but it will later once we decide to implement, doesn't it will when the to-do list of no. Okay, we have now got over 30 lines of code directed just like dedicate just to the UI, just to render something in the DOM. And at no point do we add classes, and we could use later the style list item. Hmm. How? So we create a document fragment state.task.forward. We, we append that fragment. Okay, so I actually don't didn't know that this is how you append like basically ask the DOM to be rendered, and it's actually okay. In this example requires understanding of many things and how DOM works, how to make elements. Exactly. So, like one thing that what like for working like this with the DOM, you must know the event loop. You must know that how it it takes the task queues, how it works with the micro tasks, how it works with asynchronous observations, and how it uh, there's a different section for rendering and how it does rendering, like I guess uh, 3 or 4, I don't actually remember, but from the best guess that I remember, 3 or 4 times less than the JavaScript steps. So it's obviously, or every 0 point. We'll check that sometime. So it's not relevant. So that relevant. It's a good fact to know, but it's not. No, we need to know that rendering is happens less than JavaScript operations. As an example, it requires understanding many things. Yeah, JavaScript frameworks were created to make this kind of work a lot easier. They exist to provide a better developer experience. They bring brand new paths to JavaScript. They give you easier access to JavaScript power, so you can build. Exactly. Now in React, for example, we don't have. I have more experience with React, so that's what I'll talk about more. So in React, you don't have to think about rendering on the UI. You have to think about when it will do, which will be after a state change. So after a state change, it will always go for a re-rendering. But when we um, see like this earlier like a proper vanilla implementation, we have to call that rendering by our own, and that's actually a very big pain. If you want to see some code examples from section in action, you can check out the working version of app in at Copen with the most. And let's just check. Uh, So it's basically the same code that they told us, but with a delivery option, I guess. Yeah. Every JavaScript framework offers a way to write user interface more declaratively. This is that is, they allow you to write code that describes how your UI should look, and the framework makes it happen and in the DOM behind the scene. The vanilla JavaScript approach of to building out new DOM element in repetition was difficult to understand at glance. By contrast, the following blocks of code illustrate the way you might use Vue to describe a list of tasks. Exactly. So, like, all these the frameworks are componentized, so you can reuse your code. But in vanilla JavaScript, you would have to copy paste all the code that you have written. And actually, before ESM modules, that would have been a very big pain. Uh, we did ESM modules in the last video, so I think that's clear. That's it. The other snippets reduced approximate to 32 lines of code down to 6 lines. The curly braces and the V attributes are unfamiliar to you. Hmm. That's okay. You will learn view specific syntax later on this on in um, I should say properly. It's a problem that uh, let's leave. Thanks to Vue, we didn't have to write our own functions for building the UI. The framework will handle that for us in an optimized, efficient way. Our only role was to describe to you what each item should look like. Developers who are familiar with Vue can quickly work out what is going on with when they join a project. Vue is not alone in this. Using a framework improves team as well as individual efficiency. It's possible to do similar things with vanilla JavaScript. Template literal strings make it easier to write strings in HTML that represent what the final element will look like. This might be a useful idea for something as simple as a to-do list application. Yeah, but it's not maintainable for large applications that manage thousands of records of data. You could render just as many unique elements in a user base. Exactly. Other things framework gives us. Let's look at as we have alluded to before, the advantages of frameworks are achievable in vanilla JavaScript, but using a framework takes away all the cognitive load of having to solve these problems yourself. Obviously, so with every framework, there comes a bit of opinion, but if you understand what you are making and or if you are using a library like React, so there's no opinion, and then you can easily there's as less as opinion that there is, and then you can easily leave that control to the framework slash library, and you can focus on the bigger picture of making your app. And that's actually very good because each of these frameworks in the module have large active community. Each framework ecosystem provides tooling that improves developer experience. These tools make it easy to add things to like testing to ensure that your application behaves as it should, or linting to ensure that your code is error free. So exactly, so when there's linting, there are a lot of other features also, like those are in HTML, but when you write HTML in JavaScript you don't find them, for JSX you have auto import, or you also have auto like if you change the opening tag, then it also changes just the closing tag and all that. So that all is actually like a lot of extensions on VS Code, and then uh, linting and all. So it's actually very good. Compartmentalization. So I think they'll talk about yeah. So components basically, and a code related to a given component can live in one file or a couple specific files. Exactly. Components are reusable and all that. The most essential feature of the web is that it allows users to navigate one page to another. It is, after all, a network of interlinked document. When you follow a link on this website, your browser communicates with exactly. You can save this new URL, come back, no problem. Modern web application they do not fetch and render new HTML files. They load single HTML shell that continuously updates DOM inside it. Therefore, that single. So there, like yeah, so there is a single page application also, but currently, like modern frameworks also support multi-page applications where they like kind of multi-page applications where they can load async like they can load new pages and new components asynchronously and all that. So yeah, so it's kind of single page, it's kind of multi-page. Um, though it's a pseudo multi-page, let's say, and uh, and then um, they, a lot. I don't think I know any framework that actually does actual multi-page loading, but I was trying to find an example, but I don't think there is one. But yeah, but all of them are single page, but they also do lazy loading right now, and especially with a modern day like support for ESM modules and the browser only. It has become like like for tools for more bundling tools like Veet, and I don't think we can call Veet a bundler because it actually um, I don't, let's not go into that jargon, but um, yeah, so it also does like code splitting and all that. So to make it more optimized, modern web applications typically do not. Yeah, so when SPA is complex enough that renders enough unique views, it is important to bring routing functionality to our application. People also use to being able to link to specific pages in an application, travel forwards, backwards, and navigation, and their application support. These standard web features are broken. When routing is handled by client application, this fashion is called client-side rendering. It is possible to make router using native capabilities of JavaScript and the browser, but popular actively developed frameworks have companion libraries to make routing a more intuitive part of development process. Thanks to how long is this? This is the first section of the this will be a big article, like a nested article would be a big. Okay, good. Where were we? Things to consider when using frameworks. Being an effective web developer means using an appropriate tool for the job. Familiarity with the tool, over engineering, in your web development project. This a personal portfolio which with a few page and few pages have little to or no interactive capability. A framework and all of its JavaScript may not be necessary at all. Actually, so it will also be more optimized if you use vanilla JavaScript, because every framework comes up with its own additional bundle size and additional JavaScript, and you actually don't need that. Though like a lot of new frameworks do promise to like compile into vanilla and then make the bundle size extremely small, but still it's better like a lot and compile to proper HTML CSS. But it's always better if you can for the optimization purpose. It's always better. It's not always better for small applications. It's always better to use vanilla. So for smaller applications where you don't actually need a lot of JavaScript. Frameworks allow you to write more declarative code and sometimes less code overall, many times actually, by dealing with DOM interactions for you behind the scene. This abstraction is great for your experience as a developer, but isn't free. Exactly. So it have to run. So it increases the size, JavaScript size. Some extra code is exactly abstraction of framework affect not only your JavaScript but the relationship with the very nature of the no matter how you build for the web, at the end the layer that the user ultimately interacts with is HTML. Writing the whole application in JavaScript can make you lose sight of HTML and purpose of various stack and lead you to produce an HTML document that is unsemantic and inaccessible. It is very necessary to keep accessibility in mind and if you are a very good developer or you are working on a project that you want to make it very user friendly, you should always add ARIA uh, values, and then you should always like um, add accessibility features like tab support and all that. So frameworks, uh, tab navigation. Frameworks are not the source of the product. With the wrong priority, it's possible for an application to be fragile, bloated, and inaccessible. Frameworks do, however, amplify our priorities as developer. It is if our priority is to make complex web app, it is easy to do that. However, if your priority don't carefully guard performance and accessibility, frameworks will amplify your fragility, your bloat, and your inaccessibility. Modern developers' priority amplified by frameworks have inverted the structure of web in many places. Instead of robust content first network on document, the web now often puts JavaScript first and user experience last. Accessibility on a framework driven web. So they are talking about accessibility. They are talking about ARIA. Like, that's an HTML thing actually. In some cases, create applications barrier that do not access it. Is that clients are loading. Server side, like Next.js does server side routing, and like because it does server side rendering also. So, and a- I think there must be a lot of frameworks that do server side rendering also. But yeah, so but for single page applications, we do use client server routing, which is basically like we like pull up all the JavaScript at the beginning only, and then routing is done at the user's browser rather it being done on the server. Was to set focus to the top of the page and a setting technology announce the title of the page. These things happen every time we navigate. The browser is not loading new page, so it doesn't know it's loading. Yeah, exactly. So whenever, when I was using React, uh, at the start I was making one e-commerce website, and what happened that when you scroll down and then after scrolling down you click a button and which routes to our next page and another page, and we found that we were actually scrolled to the bottom of that page, and that was a problem for us because we didn't want that, and we had to fix that. But and there's a available fix on different go on Stack Overflow, but yeah, that was a problem. So I do understand their point. The upshot and is that you should consider accessibility from the very start of every web project, but bear in mind that abstracted code base that use frameworks are more likely to suffer major accessibility issues if you don't. How to choose a framework? Just remove it, please. It gives me mild like irritations. Right. Uh, Each of the framework discussed in this model take different approach to web development. Each is regularly improving or changing. Each has pros or cons. Choosing the right framework is a team and project depends on how should you do your uncover. What browser does the framework support? What domain specific language does the framework is utilize? What does the framework have strong community and good docs? If you are a beginner, choose React. Um, it has a big community. It supports all the browsers, and it's easy to learn. And it's actually very popular. Though you must also understand that, like, though it's easy to learn, it also has a lot of developers compared to other frameworks. So if you want that novelty, then you can go for other uh, frameworks. Broadly, domain specific language is the program. The context of framework, DSL is a framework, JavaScript or HTML that make it easier. None of the framework require are a developer to use specific DSL, but they have almost been designed with a specific DSL in mind. Choosing not to employ a framework's preferred DSL will mean you miss out on features that will otherwise improve your developer experience. You should seriously consider to support matrix and DSL of the framework when making a choice of new project. Mismatched browser support can be provided to the user. Mismatched DSL support can be provided to you and your teammates. Actually, Hmm. It's a bit cringy for me because it's Mozilla's document, and they are writing about, like they have written about IE. IE is actually dead. So it's like why have you written I? If you had to write like if you had to write browser support, you could you could have chosen Chrome, or you can actually have had chosen your own like your own browser. But uh, you could have written Edge also. That's also fine. But um, I guess Angular TypeScript. Wait 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. This is the problem of streaming. Yeah, but it's actually better than making an edit. Yeah, so just problems. But yeah, it's actually what I was saying. It's actually better than editing a video and like making it full fledged. and I don't want to spend time on editing and stuff. Does the framework have a strong community? This is perhaps the hardest metric to measure because community size does not correlate directly with easy to access number. You can check a project numbers on GitHub stars or weekly NPM downloads to get an idea of its popularity, but sometimes the best thing is to do search on new forums or talk or the developer. It's not just about the community size but also how welcoming and inclusive it is and how good the available documentation is. Actually, because if you see GitHub Vue, I think Vue has more stars than React. 200k stars. React, GitHub, and it's close enough, but yeah, but still 3000. It falls like React is way popular than Vue, and React community is way bigger than Vue, but yes, still falls short. I hope I don't lose battery before. Um, that's the opinions on the web. Do not make a take a world on this matter. In our world, there are this question all over the web. The Wikimedia Foundation recently chose to use Vue as for its front end and posted a request for comment and RFC on the frameworks adoption. Eric Garner, the author of RFC, took time to outline the needs of the Wikimedia community and why certain frameworks were good choices for the team. The RFC serves a great example for kind of research you should. Okay, you can read this sometime, but not today. State of JavaScript survey is helpful. Okay, this is uh, you can also read this sometime. The beauty has explained. You and another person should explain. If you are looking for tools that expedite the web development process, you know your project isn't going to require intensive client-side JavaScript. You could reach one of the handful other solutions there. And the system. CMS are any tools that allow users to create content for web. That okay, WordPress and all that. So okay, server-side rendering. Okay, so basically what React does on client side, it's done on like what a framework does on client side, it's done on the server, and then HTML, CSS, like and some JavaScript that can't be done on the server is sent. This is approach the client side rendering, which is most common and most straightforward way to build JavaScript application. Server side rendering is easier on client's device because you have all those framework covered in the module support server-side rendering as well as client-side rendering. Check next year's for React, next for Vue. Uh, yes, it's confusing. I know all the projects are not really fast food for Ember. Static site generators. Okay, I guess we are at the end. Static site generators are programs that dynamically generate all the web pages of multiple a multi-page website including a relevant CSS and JavaScript so that they can be published in a number of places. The publishing host could be a GitHub page branch or a Netlify instance or a private server of your choosing. For example, there are a number of advantages for this approach, mostly around performance. So what the static site generators do, like Gatsby and Next also has a static site generator. So you define all the JavaScript, like for Next, let's say, you define all the JavaScript and JSX, and what it does, on the server itself, it creates HTML, CSS, JavaScript for those pages. if the whole website is server side render, then the whole website, and then this is only done for static apps, and because and then it can be easily be dealt with. So it's not done for like uh, a dynamic app, because then that then that thing about data and all that, can't be pre-generated generated. So, and still hydration is needed, like you need JavaScript for that. So that's why it's only done for like static apps. uh, Static pages have fewer attack vector. The sites can still utilize JavaScript where they need to, but they are not dependent upon it. Static site generators take time to learn, like just like any other tool, which can be a barrier for development process. For Next.js, it's not very hard to learn. Like if you are learning server-side rendering with Next.js, then I think it's like just a byproduct of learning that whole ecosystem. So you or yeah, like if you are learning server-side rendering, then obviously you'll get to know static site generation with Next.js. And I think with as you use the asynchronous call and all that, I'm not very 100% sure, because I only read it in articles and didn't actually saw the whole presentation. But yeah, but as uh, uh, you have to specify to use like server side rendering and like incremental generation. Static sites can have a few as many unique pages as you want, just as frameworks empower you to quickly write client-side JavaScript application. Static site generation allows you to wait to quickly create a single file you would otherwise have written individually. Like frameworks, static site generation allow developers to write components that define common pieces of web pages and compose those components together to create final page. In context of static site generator, these components are called templates. Web pages built on static site generators can even be home to framework application. If you want one specific page of your statically generated website to boot up React application when the user visits, you can do that. Exactly. You can combine different technologies. On quite long, they have seen a bit of rivalry in recent history. I think Gatsby and Next.js are the most popular ones, and I Gatsby also has almost lost the battle. And for React, I think Next is the most popular uh, the one. And then the best thing is that you can easily shift, easy configure different pages. So use server side rendering, static side generation, or incremental side rendering. So that's how it works. Summary, okay, cool. And that brings to cool. Was a long session, actually. Uh, oh, we have just uh, seen the top of the iceberg. It's a very long uh, article, like overall article. I guess, but I guess we'll not do these tutorials. So I guess it's not actually that long. We'll learn about frameworks, main features, and then we'll leave it to that. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. Like most of the people that see these videos are after the fact, so thank you to you. And I think we are done. Goodbye. I'll just edit it quickly. I could edit it afterwards also, but I just don't want to, like, as I end this, I want to completely end it. So I'll just uh this is how I work with this, like, streaming. I don't want to give it anything like any more time than currently at this stage. I don't want to give it any more time than I have to. So And though it does, I do understand that doing it afterwards does not solve my problem. But yeah, I guess it's a weird sense of ending it together. Bye bye.